Hey guys, welcome to this week's Q&A, coming to you live from Hula Male. That's in the Maldives. It's right here in the Maldives. It's hotter than fire here, I can tell you that. We're going to jump right into the Q&A right quick. The first question out of the box is from Larry Ferd. Why a black shade? We got that question a lot. Everybody was asking, why'd you put a black shade up? And the reason I did the black shade, I could have done a lighter color. The black keeps it cool too. A lighter color would have kept it even cooler probably. The problem with the lighter colors is it shows mold, and so when you store it and you stick it down in a cell locker, the mold and the dampness of it, if you had a lighter color shade, white or tan, you could see the mold start to grow on it. You can see it up on our sail bag for our main sail. You can see it on a lot of the stuff around here. The mold is something you got to fight if you're going to be in tropical or subtropical destinations. So once again, Larry, that's why I went with black, because you can't see the mold on there. You can just smell it or touch it or breathe it in. It's better. Once again, Larry, thanks for the question. Next question is from Zebo Stonely. What are the two giant balls, bumpers, fenders, presumably on the trampoline for? Those are my fenders, the big fenders. They won't fit down in a locker, so I just store them up there out of the way. They don't flip over because they're tied short, and so they stay right there. But we use them for the back quarters of the boat when we're docking or mooring, because they're big and round. And I'd like to get some of those blow-up fenders that are easier to handle, where you can just inflate and deflate, and they've got the dingy inflator valve on them, and they air up real quick and they let air out real quick, or like a SU stand-up paddleboard inflator. But anyway, that's what those are for. They're just fenders. That's where I store them, and they used to be black. Fender covers have kind of turned green. I don't know how that works, but the sun faded black to green, so there we go. Next question is from Mr. Timothy Lehman. How often, if at all, is a filter used for fuel when filling up in other countries? And that dovetails right into a question from Bill C. Do you tip the fuel delivery guys? I haven't used that Baja filter in a long time. Anytime I'm getting fuel out of a 55-gallon drum, I will tend to use a Baja filter like what you saw in the video. In the Bahamas, we used it. Anywhere they're moving a lot of fuel, though, where boats are getting fueled up all the time and fuel is happening all the time, you really don't need to worry about fuel as much, unless you're getting the last ounces of fuel out of their tanks. But like here in Hula Male, those fuel barges you saw come up to the boat, they run fuel all day long here. They're getting fuel straight from the fuel depot, and they're bringing it out here to the boat. Bill C., you asked, do we tip the fuel barge? No, that's part of their business. They just deliver fuel. They deliver fuel to all the safari boats. They call them safari boats, all the charter boats and safari boats, dive boats out here, and that's just part of their service. So we don't tip them here in Hula Male. I don't think you would do that anywhere in the world, because that's their business, that's their service. But yeah, I could be wrong. But that's a great question, and I hope that answers that for you. Next question is from Mr. Rebel Robin 501. I'm curious, Keith, about your thoughts about the Volvo engines. At one time you said you'd like to replace them with Yanmar motors. The water pump bracket looked like it had been broken from stress. Zatara is over 16 years old. How is she holding up? Are there any recurring maintenance headaches? Well, you're right. That bracket was welded. It had been broke before, and it had been welded again. I don't know how it broke a long time ago. I have no clue how that got broken, but it definitely got broken and re-welded, and then it just gave way, I guess, because the weld wasn't that good. As far as the Volvo engines have been good engines. It's just they're 16 years old now, and they've got 3,000 hours on each one of them, or 4,000 hours, which I don't think is a lot of hours. I mean, there's engines out there that have 10 or 15,000 hours. If I ever get somewhere like in Europe or back in the United States, I might go through there and revamp those engines and do something different. But I would like to upgrade the engines for sure. I'd like to have newer technology where I can hook the sensors into my chart plotters and have more live data feed and better technology today. But right now they're running fine. I had messed with the water pumps and the impellers and the alternators for a long time. So since I've owned the boat, so that's been 4 years. So in 4 years, those alternator water pump problems were just what I had, besides changing an impeller out. So it was time for that little thing, and I should have been more on top of it, catching the water leaking down there on the alternator, checking that. I should have been more vigilant there, and I wasn't, and that's why I had the catastrophic loss of the alternator. So that was on me. That's not the engines. It doesn't represent the engines in a way. I just should have been checking that underneath the deal, and it's a bad design for sure. It is a horrible design to have a water pump sitting over the top of an alternator. But I'm going to figure something out to make a little screen there, so if it does drip, it'll run off and go off to the side or go somewhere else, so I don't have to worry about that. Rebel Robin, thank you for the question, and I hope that answers it. Oh, well, you asked one more. Are there any other reoccurring maintenance headaches? Well, I tell you, one of the headaches I have been having on this boat since I've owned it, and even before I owned it, was the throttle controls. You guys have seen me work on the throttle boxes. They're always a little janky. They're not working correctly. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And I've got an upgrade coming from those. We're going to put the original ZF drive controls back on the boat, and they're plug and play type things. Once I get them installed, it's going to be great to have the original. I don't know why they changed them out, but it's going to be great to have the original throttle controls back on the boat. That's been a reoccurring theme for me, is those throttle controls. Ever since I've owned the boat, those have been a problem, but that's been about the only thing on this boat that's been a headache for me. The next question is from Ryan McShiffery. Ryan McShiffery. Are those stabilizers under the center of the hull at 1350? I would think that part of the hull would contact water enough for those to be useful. You're looking at those stringers that run down the length on the bottom of the boat. In the middle, there's long stringers. Those aren't stabilizers. Those are what we call stringers, and they're for supporting the fiberglass. They have nothing to do with the water dynamics flow there. It's just a big bulky thing, so it's a strength issue. So they put those stringers in there to make the boat not flex like this, so it's more strong and sturdy and rigid. That's what those are. I'm assuming that's what those are for, because they don't ever touch the water. They might channel the water down through there and help channel water down through there, but I think those were put in there as stringers for strength and support to make the boat more rigid underneath the hull there on the bridge deck. So great question, Ryan, and yeah, they'd have to stick way down in the water to be used in the water. Next question is from BackVet90. Do you guys do your own splicing? And I assume you're talking about rope splicing, dynamo splicing, all those different things. Yeah, I do all that. I learned that back when I was ranching and cowboying. I knew how to do a lot of different kinds of rope splicing. I was also a lineman for a few years out of high school for the power company, and we spliced all kinds of things, all kinds of ropes. So it wasn't a hard transition going from the ranching lifestyle, lineman, to this life, and bringing all those skills of being able to splice. But YouTube is a great place to learn how to splice lines. I mean, it's not hard. You can watch any YouTube video. Anytime I get into trouble with something, I just flip up a YouTube video and bam, I can learn whatever I need to learn. Great place to learn how to splice rope, lines, sheets, whatever you want to do. And having FIDs and the little splicing tools makes it very easy to do that. So great question, guys. And I would like to take credit and say I was just born that good, but I wasn't. So that's just the way it is. Everybody wants to know what we're doing. Right now, we are getting geared up to go to the Seychelles and then to East Africa. Right now, we're working through some insurance deals. We're going to find out if my insurance broker is an honest man or if he's going to slap it to me, because I had to pay $10,000 for the insurance here in Maldives while we're trying to get insurance in East Africa, because he represented that he could get insurance, and then he didn't know that they weren't offering insurance, and now he's got $10,000 with a 90% earned premium of mine. And I've already gotten insurance. I had to go buy another insurance policy from another broker because he couldn't get the same insurance and the same pricing, and it's been a headache for sure. But yeah, we're looking forward to the Seychelles. We've been around the flat islands for a long time. They're all flat, and the Seychelles have a few mountains to them. It looks more like the Caribbean, and we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to East Africa, Tanzania, Zanzibar, and those kind of places. So stay with us as we make the 10-day crossing across the ocean to the Seychelles in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll get to see what that's all about. All right, guys, once again, if you like what you're seeing, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment. I love the hater comments. So if you're really hating on us this week, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you don't like the way I look in the camera today, leave those hate comments, because we like to answer those. Those are exciting. They make it fun. We get a good chuckle out of them here on the boat. And I look forward to seeing you guys out there on the water.